guys. I am live on Facebook, on YouTube, on Periscope. So now just checking to see how this is going because I'm using StreamYard and I'm using multiple destinations. So it's super exciting. I'm like showing up on all these different places all at once. I love it. Can't get enough of it. This is fantastic. Yay. Looks like it's working, guys. So this is exciting. Hello, hello, hello. Good morning. If it's morning for you, afternoon, or evening, I will be getting started shortly with Dear Journal. So awesome. Dear Journals are the best. It's amazing. Oh my goodness. Can't wait. So, just sharing this out, guys. I would appreciate if you share it out as well, and we'll be getting started shortly. Just sharing it out with some folks. And I suggest you do the same. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. We're going to talk about how to stop standing in your own way. So if that's ever something that you have dealt with, then this is the opportune time to join in this fun and really kind of deal with it. Deal with it head on because that's how we do. That's how we roll here. Alrighty. 1 minute. Can you count with me? Just a couple more seconds. Super excited. And yay, this is exciting. I love when technology works. Don't you love when technology works? It's like super amazing. Like I'm just like, yes, let's do that. Let's make that work. Yay. Okay. So we can get started. We can get started. We can get started. Hey, hey, hey. And of course that happened. So, there's always something with technology. I can't. Oh my goodness. All right, that's fine, guys. Hello, hello, hello. My name is Natasha Nurse. I'm a coach. I'm a speaker. I'm a content creator behind Dressing Room Mate. And today we're doing another Dear Journal. And in the title, you can see how to stop standing in your own way. This is something that every single human being has to deal with. If you have goals, if you have desires, if you have things that you want to accomplish, you have to learn how to stop standing in your own way. But before we go there, a couple of things. Let me open up my journal and share with you some of the notes I have. So first, why am I doing this? Why do I come on here every month and kind of talk about this? So I think journaling is very like therapeutic in nature. I think it's a space where you can feel free. It's a space where you can feel like a genius. You can be creative. You can be yourself. There's no judgment. These are your thoughts. It's your safe space. And sometimes in life, it doesn't always feel like there's a safe space for us to have our thoughts and to exist. But I'm here to tell you that is absolutely in existence. It is called get a journal and share your thoughts and think about how your life is going. Think about how your day is going. Think about what you want to happen for later in the day, for tomorrow, for 5 years from now, for 20 years from now. You have to constantly be thinking and dreaming and executing. And so a big part of those dreams and execution means what? Learning techniques and tools along the way so that you stop standing in your way. And that's why we're really talking about that. So I wrote down a couple of things. Let's go through them one by one. Now I want this to be a conversation every time I come on social media or online or do any event. I really enjoy engagement, so feel free to put comments and thoughts in there. I believe I should be able to see them here through StreamYard. Not every destination works the same, but for Facebook, YouTube, these should be coming through here. Not sure about Periscope, but we will see. This is my first time doing it on all the platforms at once through one platform. So shout out to StreamYard, y'all. If you aren't using it, do it. So how do we stop standing in our own way? Well, first I think there needs to be an understanding of what does standing in your own way really mean. So let's go through that. For me, when I think about standing in your own way, I'm thinking about a couple of contexts, right? I'm thinking about your career for sure, business goals, personal goals, fitness, nutritional, spiritual. I'm thinking also familial relations, things like that, love life. Hello, hello. So, oh, okay. Erica says there's a loud feedback. Interesting. Let's see if that's any better. Thank you, Erica. Huh. I hope that's better. But If it isn't, let me know. I'll see. I turned off the fan, so maybe that was causing the issue. We'll see. All right. So in addition to thinking about the scenarios where you could be standing in your own way, there's a couple of things with that definition that I particularly wanted to point to and that I wrote to, because these are things that I myself have dealt with. So not moving forward with a goal. I think that that would be one way of how you stand in your own way. Another thing that I wrote down is not accepting help. I think that that's super challenging for so many of us, whether you're strong, whether you're extrovert, introvert, whatever type of personality, whatever zodiac sign, a lot of us struggle with asking for help. I think that's a big component of standing in your own way. Another one would be not acting proactively or also with a sense of urgency. And I think that that's detrimental, because we have to be able to see a problem or attack an issue and actually move forward with a sense of proactiveness, not waiting for things to come to us, right? Opportunity doesn't come to us, but you create it. And then also with a sense of urgency, right? What you could put off tomorrow, you can do today, right? And yes, you have to temper that with patience and things like that, but there still has to be a sense of urgency and a desire to keep moving forward for yourself. And then also the next thing I wrote down, and I thought this was something that I personally have had to confront as well, which is not mentally showing up for yourself in these moments when we are pursuing a career goal, going after an entrepreneurial goal, figuring out something in our personal or relationships, right? And what do I mean by not mentally showing up? Well, what I mean by that is not believing in yourself, right? Or self-doubt or self-sabotage, like I believe it, but then oh no, I can't do it. Or I listen to a naysayer and that distracts me or discourages me from moving forward. That's not mentally showing up for yourself, and that's inexcusable, right? And then we can do better. So just to rehash for anyone who's jumping in now, we're talking about how to stop standing in your own way. And I think some of the real key components with that behavior comes down to not moving forward with a goal, not accepting help, not asking for help, also not acting proactively or with a sense of urgency, meaning, oh, I can do it tomorrow, and tomorrow becomes 20 years from now. We can do better. And then the next one is not mentally showing up for ourselves when we need to, right? So that's the not believing in myself, not feeling confident, not showing up for yourself in a mental way where you can manifest and actualize what you're thinking about. So how do we do this? How do we stop this like unproductive, self-destructive behavior? There could be a myriad of ways that you go about it. For me, I think I wrote down 8 things that I think are key here that I would say help you if we were doing a coaching session, and what would I be telling my clients? These are some of the 8 things that I think I would run through, and some of the things that I do in my own personal life. So again, if you have thoughts, if you have comments, please feel free to put them in. I want this to be a conversation. I want to make this as helpful and productive for you as possible. 1, we have to acknowledge when we are standing in our own way. What do I mean by this? So let's do examples. And if you have scenarios or certain examples that you want to go through, put those in the comments, okay? First is acknowledge that you're standing in your own way. So for instance, I have struggled with like weight loss my entire life. I would say change my behaviors and then maybe have a bad incident in my career or not feeling up for it and kind of slip back and start eating things that I know that are not helpful or things that delay the progress that I'm trying to achieve. Why do something like that? And that's just one example. That's like a fitness, nutritional thing, right? You, at a certain point, have to acknowledge when you are preventing your own success, when you are standing in the way of you being able to move forward, right? It's not happening. It's not happenstance. It's like an actual thing that you're doing and you have to acknowledge this, right? Because if you can acknowledge it, what can you do? You can plan, you can move forward with the process like anything else, but you have to first acknowledge when you are kind of messing your own self up. So that's the first step. Next, identify root causes. So for me, if we're sticking with this kind of nutritional thing, right? If you too, a lot of people during COVID-19 some people are gaining weight, some people are losing weight, some people are focusing on toning, all sorts of different things that people are taking the time to really utilize for their own selves and kind of take a beat and figure out what they want to do with this segment of their life, because we are living in unprecedented times, right? So root causes. I would say for me, some of the times why I slipped up or some of the times where I curtailed my own success was not believing that I could really do it, right? Like if you have a certain narrative, it's so much easier to live in that space in your mind of like, I've always been this, I've always done this. The idea of doing something new is what? Challenging. It's super scary. It's unknown territory, right? If for me, like I've been a plus size person all my life, the idea of not being plus size, the idea of not being or looking a certain way is a terrifying thought, because does it change who I am? Does it change how people receive me? Does it change the level of opportunities that come my way that I create, right? Like there's all these questions, right? But again, you can answer those questions, but what do you have to do? You have to get to the other side of the bridge. You have to move forward. You can't let the unknown stand in the way of you actualizing those moments and that reality for yourself. So fear was one of the root causes that helped me kind of always be like, I'm going to do better. And then I don't. And then if you feel me, give me some thoughts in the comments. Okay. Another root cause could be not necessarily having a strong support system, right? For people who maybe don't have big or large networks, sometimes it can feel challenging to go through a new segment of your life without having someone say, you know what, I'm really proud of you. You know what, I think you can do this. You know what, I admire you. Stuff like that can really go a long way, especially if you are the kind of person who enjoys that, who craves that. And if you don't have that being fed into you, couldn't you imagine how easy it would be to be like, oh, well, I'm just going to give up because like no one really cares if I'm going to do this. I don't know if I'm going to do this, right? And it goes down this like psychological myriad of just nonsense, really. It's just excuses, because for things that we want, we somehow make them happen. But when we don't know if we really want it or we don't believe in ourselves enough, what happens? We start to crumble. The dream starts to crumble and disappear. And we can do better because we're worth more. So 1, acknowledge when we're standing in our own way. 2, identify the root causes. Now, third thing is, and I think this I love because like the Virgo, the planner, the coach in me is like, everyone, guys, we can all do this. Create an action plan. So we can keep with that scenario that I've been talking about with like weight loss and stuff like that, just because that's just something that's like I'm dealing with in my life. But again, if you have something that you're like, well, what do you mean about, what would you do about this? Please put that in the comments so I can address that here. So creating an action plan. For me, a big part of the nutritional changes and the physical like leveling up that I had to do was writing down what I wanted to do, identifying, getting a list of all the things that I couldn't eat from a nutritionist because it was causing inflammation, because it was causing me to literally have like physical attacks. and you know, I just thought, oh, maybe it's just bad food. No, like literally having food allergies develop because of the bad behaviors and bad food stuff, right? Like, so, but everyone's situation and whatever you're dealing with is going to be different. But if we're sticking with that, then I had to review that document, create a separate little checklist for myself and say, okay, these are the things I can't buy at the supermarket. Okay, these are the things I am going to do. Start doing some research, identifying paleo, keto, right? The different plans that could work for what I need. And then setting out time in the calendar to when I was going to buy food. Figuring out, well, if I cook on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm good for Thursday, Friday, or I'm going to cook on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and that's going to settle me for the week. Identifying the things I can eat, not just focusing on the negatives, right? We have a tendency as humans to always focus on the things that we can't do, but there's a bunch of stuff we can do. So what can you do, right? And setting in time in the calendar. Okay, I'm going to swim. As you see, I'm in my bathing suit. I'm going to swim. I'm going to move my body. I'm going to find ways to enjoy movement in a way that I haven't, and commit it in the calendar. And when having challenges about sticking to it, again, being very transparent with myself, not judgmental, transparent. Why did if I wanted to work out and I didn't work out, what happened? What was really going on? What listening to my body and being open enough to say, okay, you know what? I wanted to do this, but I didn't think I could. So thus I missed it. Or, you know, just being very like, listen, I'm here for me and I can do this, but just holding yourself through and like holding yourself accountable through every step of the way. That was a big part of my action plan that I've thankfully been able to commit to and been sticking through for several months. And I don't foresee going off of it because, again, I'm being very honest. I'm being very transparent with myself. I do have select people that I can speak to about this. So it's not like just me alone. And that's been super helpful. I don't know if I've really had that before. So that's, I think, has been a game changer for me as well. And just identifying every time I do good, like, okay, cool, I walked, you know, there've been, I think, several weeks where I've been able to not only make like more than 5,000 steps for the day, but also do 10,000 and you know, swim on top of that and bike, right? Like really could have pushed myself forward. So identifying when you have those big victories and just identifying when you say, hey, I'm going to do 3 things and you actually do those 3 things, no matter how small or how big, celebrating that along the way. And the next point I would say, acknowledge, identify the root causes, create an action plan. The 4th point I wrote was start today. A lot of times when we think about making transformation, it's always kind of this forward thinking perspective. But I actually challenge you to say, well, what can I do today? Right? Because if you can change something today, right, then you're setting yourself up to have even more success for tomorrow and the next day and the day after and the day after that. So I really would say when we're thinking about change, like, oh, hey, for those of you who maybe are writing a book, or for those of you who are, let's see, maybe you have a certain reading goal that you want to do for COVID or 2020, whatever. What are you going to do today, right? Because it's easy to plan and dream for tomorrow, but if you can actually do something today, you're making a difference in your life today. So there's great power in that, and there's great purpose in making sure that, because you're more likely to stick to the plan that you start today than the plan you start tomorrow. So that would be the 4th point I think is really critical and I have found to be helpful. And then I think, of course, more buzzing, fun, technology. 5th point, eliminate distractions. So what do we mean by this? So if you're doing the nutritional thing, like so many people are doing right now, getting rid of the bad stuff, right? There's so many food donation places that need more food. And I'm not saying obviously only donate bad food or like highly caloric food, but whatever. The point is, if it's in your house, then it's going to cause you grief to see it as you know, walk past the Cheetos and the Oreos to get the peach and the mango and the water bottle. Then like, why give yourself more grief? Why give yourself more heartache? Like, make your life easier. I think so many of us fail to understand how we can simplify and purge and really eliminate the things that are making our lives harder. Make your life easier by getting rid of distractions, getting rid of the things that make it harder to do what you're set out to do. All right. Next is celebrate. And I talked a little bit about this earlier, which is celebrate the new behavior pattern. So for me, I like documentation because it holds myself publicly accountable. So for instance, I started the Dress Your Mate book club because I wanted to make sure for minimum, I read 1 book a month. Really, my goal is like 10 books a month, but at bare minimum, I know I have to read 1 book a month. Why? Because I have to come online and I have to talk about this book that I read, right? And people can ask me questions, people can hold me accountable. I like that public facing accountability. That to me is the most paramount because as a person who values like what I say and like making sure that when people hear me, they're like, oh, nope, she means that, she says that. So like public facing accountability is like the highest tier accountability for me, but you have to identify what would hold you most accountable. And so if you too also love public facing accountability, use social media, use your platform as an opportunity to say, hey, I'm doing a 30-day challenge, and post a picture of you doing whatever that challenge is every single day. It's not only holding you accountable publicly, but it's also giving inspiration to others who have similar dreams. Remember, guys, People live through representation. We are all walking, talking sources of inspiration and motivation for ourselves and for others. So when we get on here and we talk stuff and we share our perspective and we give our advice, it's not just like going into the ether, but it has impact. It can impact as many people as possible. It can impact technically billions of people. Just depends, right? And so you have to really identify the why of what you're doing and then tie that to some type of form of accountability for yourself. I encourage public facing accountability because it helps the world as a whole. If you're bettering yourself and you show that journey, you're making the world aware of just how much easier it is for someone else to do it, because they're like, hey, this person's doing it, I can go do this. It gives us all permission to live our dreams right in front of us. So I personally advocate public facing accountability, but I won't hold it against you if you don't want to do that. You have to identify what works best for you. Sometimes public facing accountability is too stressful, right? Because it creates then this like standard of like, oh my gosh, what if I don't post? And right. And if it's going to cause you too much grief and really stand in the way of your success, then I would consider that a distraction. So pull it off the table. And maybe it's a insular kind of, I'm going to write in a journal, a goal setting journal every single day for 30 days. And you're going to do it that way. Do what works for you. But the point is, in that action plan, you create that. And a part of that action has to be how you're going to hold yourself accountable, because that's how you're going to commit and how you're going to keep moving forward. Next point, we're going to have 2 more to go, and then I'll kind of hash that, is don't give up, guys. It is not easy, right? It is not easy to change your life. If it was, everyone would be doing it every single minute of the day. Hello. No, right? There's some people, I forget the quote, but it's like, do what most people won't do to live the life that you want to live, something like that, where it's like, if you look at what it takes to be successful, and again, you have to define what success is for you, but if you look at that, no one who's ever had success in this life, whether it's through community, through finance, through fashion, in whatever industry they're in, no one's like, you know what, this was super easy, guys. Like, no one says that. Changing your life for the better, making an impact in this world is one of the most difficult things you will ever do, right? No one gets into business saying, I wanted to do something really easy, so I decided to do this. Like, try again. It's incredibly challenging, but you have what it takes. You have it, but you can't give up, because guys, are you gonna have a bad day? 100%. If you're lucky, you will only have 100 bad days. Like, get your life. Of course it will be bad, but you have what it takes to get past it. And remember, we overestimate and overemphasize things. Is it really a bad day? No, it's a bad moment that happened in a day. Move on, right? That it's not a bad hour, it's not a bad week, it's a bad moment. Whether that moment was 5 minutes or 50 minutes or 50 hours, the point is, there's always the next day, there's always the next moment. You have to compartmentalize, identify what's going on, how do we solve it, keep it moving, right? But we can't give up, because you are worthy of the dreams that you have in your mind, and it is up to you to make them a reality. That's what people are missing, right? It's not someone, there's no savior, there's no person, no coach can make you do anything. Everyone has to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. A coach like myself, motivational speaker, right? What we do is we give you that verbal juice to get you going, that you can listen to this anytime, that you can run to this, that you can watch this before you go to bed, right? We're giving you the permission, the verbal motivation and gusto to say, you know what, I can do this. Yes, like she gave me life today. Yes, I gave you life, but you're living your life. I can't live a life for you. You, and vice versa. You have to live your life. You have to actually take that next step. You have to believe in yourself to get anywhere in life. But you can be motivated. You can be amped up. And that's the value of like people like me, what I do and why I love what I'm doing. But ultimately, the who's in the control of the car, who's changing their life, that's you. It's always been you. It will always be you. right? So who changed your life? You change your life. Who changed your mindset? You change your mindset, right? What you do is you fed yourself the resources like this type of conversation to help you get to that next step. But you 100% are in charge of whether or not your life changes today or not. All right. Then the last step is embrace gratitude. So gratefulness, I mean, listen, gratitude is the only attitude of choice, right? There's so many things in this world to be grateful for. And I know that might sound peculiar to say during a pandemic, during a time where people are losing things left and right, whether it's people, whether it's their job, whether it's their home, whether it's their financial stability, whatever, right? Yes, it is one of the most devastating times that America will ever face, that this world will probably ever deal with. But it is not insurmountable. It also is not an excuse to ignore all the blessings and miracles that also happen every single day. There are people who become millionaires. There are people who have identified and started new businesses, new lives for themselves. There are people who are happier than they've ever been. There are people who've been given opportunities they never have been given before. So wait 1 minute and let's be grateful, right? Let's start the day. I think Oprah years ago has said, you know, she starts the day saying, thank you, universe, to like, and she thinks about like 3 or 4 things that she's grateful for. Listen, if you're not listening to Oprah, I don't know what to tell you, boom. If she's doing it, you better damn well straight. You better do it too. Get your life and start. So let's embrace gratitude, because gratitude, like your why, is grounding. It's focus. It's an understanding also that you are creating with the universe, saying, hey, I'm grateful for these things. And why is that important? Because it's a trigger to the universe. As if you're a believer of The Secret and the law of attraction like I am, then what's the universe going to do? Oh, she's ready. She's ready now for more things to be grateful for. That's what people also miss about gratitude. It's an exchange, right? This give and take that ultimately we're putting out here all the things we are so grateful and happy about, so that what we can be blessed and receive more. Even on a journey of transformation, even on a journey of struggle, guys, there's still always a blessing. There's still something to be grateful for. Waking up, being alive is something to be extremely grateful for. Not everyone has life. People wake up and expect to wake up the next day, and they don't. So if you can at least, at bare minimum, be grateful for waking up, your life can be as amazing as you want it to be. But you have to start with an embracement of gratitude. So just to recap, how do we stop standing in our own way? Dressing room 8 tips to practice, not tomorrow, not next week, today. Acknowledge when you're standing in your own way. Identify root causes. Create an action plan. Start today with that action plan, and at least one thing that you want to start today. Next, eliminate distractions, because why make life harder? Let's make it easier for ourselves. Next, celebrate that new behavior pattern that you've instituted in your life today, right? Either through some type of public facing accountability, private, somewhere in between. You have the choice and autonomy to decide. Don't give up. When you have a challenging moment, don't give up. Push through. Keep bulldogging forward. You got this. And then embrace gratitude. So those are the 8 steps. And if you have any questions about that, if that's something you want to talk about in further detail for your particular circumstance that you're dealing with in life, what do? I'm going to show you. This is the time, guys. So there we go. So you can have that up there. So dressingroom8.com. I offer a free 30-minute consultation coaching session. So you can totally feel free to set a time to talk to me for free. Why? Because I really believe in the value in being able to conversate with people who, this is stuff I'm dealing with every single day. This is stuff that I have to deal with for myself, much less other people that I work with. So if you want to be a part of that party train of success, free. There's nothing standing in the way. Literally schedule a time with me and we will chat, and I can help you create that action plan, help you create the tools and techniques needed for your particular circumstance. No excuses, no excuses. All right. So now just words of wisdom as we wind this program down for our dear journal and how to stop saying your own way, which is The hardest step is really just acknowledging when you are messing up, right? When you're mucking things up for yourself, that's the hardest thing. Whether you're prideful or not, it's challenging. It's challenging, especially I'll tell you, for me as a Virgo, as someone who loves to be right, as someone who loves to provide guidance and wisdom and mentorship and coaching to others, it's hard to be like, you know what, I've really been messing this up. Like that's really challenging for my personality, but across the board as people don't enjoy being wrong. People don't enjoy being like, oh, I just totally wasted this. Like, and it's nothing is ever a waste. It's always teachable moments, lessons, right? Yeah, I could have done different the last 10 years, but I did it, right? And so there's been lessons on that journey, but it's challenging. So that's the first thing. So just acknowledging that this whole process is not going to be easy. I'm not talking about something that's super easy, because if so, then there wouldn't be a point to have this conversation. Like, right? Like if everyone could just like, oh, okay, I'll just figure it out, then that would be fine. But it requires a little bit more support there. Next, get busy with positive empowerment. Like, we have so many resources of things that will make us just want to cry, that will make us break down, that will destroy us, like emotionally speaking, mentally speaking. Guys, fill your brain and your time with things that feed your soul, that feed your mind, that feed your body, that empower you. The more time that you have listening to positive podcasts, listening to uplifting audiobooks, to reading books that help you challenge bias or frustrations you have in your life, that's how you can really focus on the transformation you need. It's the other stuff that will allow you to just kind of fester in the negativity, because that's what you see in media, that's what you see in the news, that's what you see with certain relationships in your life. There's too many miserable people who are so okay with you never accomplishing what you want, with you complaining with them, not wanting to hear advice. Your life, your purpose on this earth is too good and too much to allow that type of behavior. Not everyone wants to win, and that's okay. It is what it is. That everyone's journey is their own. But if you know you have things to do on this earth and we have a limited time here, I really urge you to take this conversation and listen to it as many times as it takes for you to be able to continue on your journey of transformation and success for yourself, because you deserve it, and no one, not even yourself, should stand in the way of that. All right. Next is you can do whatever you want. There's been not one time in your life that you haven't been able to accomplish something. So, go back to those moments. Think about when you didn't think you were going to graduate and you did graduate, or you didn't know you were going to do this assignment and you were able to pull it off. Like, there's so many instances in our lives where we're like, oh man, I didn't know I could do this. And you did. So like, cut the nonsense with the like, I don't know if I can. Yes, because you've done it time and time again, right? Like over and over and over and over again, you've done this. So whatever the new phase of this next chapter is of your life, just like do it. Just believe, because why? It's happened before. So it's the recreation of something you already have within you. You've already done this. So just keep going. All right. Less judgment, more action. And I tell you this as a true Virgo. If you all know Virgos, we are judgmental. We will tell you your business in a hot minute and not even think twice about it. Like, it's just our nature. We can't help ourselves. But we here in this moment are talking about how to stop standing in our own way. You gotta stop judging yourself. Right? Every time that I'm kinder to myself, if I struggle, if I stumble, I find it so much easier to move forward through that moment with kindness, with self appreciation, than the judgment, than the how could you be so stupid? How could you? All of that language is not serving you. It is not getting you closer to the goal. Stop calling yourself stupid. Stop saying you can't do something. Stop saying you're a failure. Nonsense. There have been time and time again in your life where you have accomplished, where you have overcome. Let this next thing that you're working on be one of those next moments for you. All right. And then, of course, you have to want the best for yourself, right? Like, I could want the best for you. There are people in my life where I'm like, oh my gosh, I really want the best for them, but they refuse to do anything about it. They refuse to change how they speak about themselves, what they do, who they spend time with. That is their journey. That is their life, right? Like I said, no one is in charge of your transformation other than you. No one can do it other than you. So you have to want it for yourself. Your parents, your spouse, everyone can want the world for you. But if you want nothing for yourself, if you don't want to achieve it, guess what? Boom, boom, you're not going to. So that's where you're at with that, right? Like that's how the cookie crumbles. It crumbles that way every single time. It's not going to change. It's 2020 today. It could be 2020, 2020, whatever. Doesn't matter. That's how the cookie continuously crumbles, because that is a part of how life works. If you want something, then you will find a way to get it accomplished. If you don't, it doesn't happen. And that's the end. Like, are there other forces and things at work that play a role in that scenario? 100%, 100%. But we have to still have that fire within us that makes us go after it. So we're a little bit over. I don't want to take up too much of your time. You have homework. What's your homework today? Your homework is to do what? To identify the one thing, at least one thing that you've been standing in your own way with. And you cannot lie and tell me there isn't one thing. Get your life. There's one thing, at least one thing you're standing in the way with. And I want you to write that thing down. What is the thing, the one thing, just one, there's probably many, but one thing that you've been blocking your own blessing with, right? Write it down and then proceed to write that action plan. And personally, what I would love, really, really love, is for you to email me, Natasha@dressingroom8.com. I can show that on the bottom. And here, what I'd love to do is just be a support system for you. Whether you want to work with me or not, at least emailing me is that first step of accountability of like, hey, because I'm going to think about what I see, right? If you email me and you're like, you know what, I want to work on this. This is my action plan. Booyah. You've put that in the universe. You've given life to that thought, to that process. Right. And if you want to talk about it, you know what you need to do. Go to dressingroom8.com, schedule a session. We can talk about that whole kabam that you emailed me about. But at bare minimum, write it down, send it to me. Hold yourself accountable. I'm just one person, just one person. So you can do this. That's your homework. All right. It's not too hard. You got this. Next, if you would like to have more access to this type of content, what I suggest you do, and I'll show this now, subscribe to the blog and the monthly newsletter at dressingroom8.com. I put out positive, empowering content, interesting content for you. I have guest writers on there as well. So lots of things, lots of goodies for you there. And then again, go to dressingroom8.com. You can schedule that free coaching strategy session, especially if you want to talk about what we talked about today. And then I just have a couple of reminders, and that's it, guys. So one, you're worthy of greatness. You are worth, and I've written this down because I wrote these words for myself, but I mean it for you as well. You are worthy of greatness. You are the master of your fate. And the last one is, you have what it takes to change your life, not just tomorrow, not next year, today, right? Don't let COVID-19 stand in the way of whatever goals and dreams you want to accomplish. And I know it's been challenging and it's been unprecedented, right? Like there's things that I never would have thought I would live through what I'm living through. And I'm sure you're thinking the exact same thing, but guess what? We're in this together and we always will be. We're one human race on one planet for as long as we have this planet, as long as we have existence. Make changes today, be grateful for what we have, put in an action plan so that you can achieve what you need today and beyond. Guys, it's been a pleasure. My name's Natasha Nurse. Again, the coach, speaker, content creator behind Dressing Room 8. Thank you for your time. It's been a pleasure, y'all. That's the end. I'll see you guys soon. And at dressingroom8.com, you'll see my events page so you can see upcoming events. All right. So I'll see you guys soon. Be good. Have a wonderful, blessed day.